Hello everybody, fun time going to Freddy here, and yeah, it's time I give my full thoughts and review of Secret of the Mimic, because it's out. Yep, it's been out for like a few days, and it's time I made a proper review about this new era FNAF, because that's honestly what I describe Secret of the Mimic as. It's a new era FNAF, which is strange how what I said actually came true. Okay, where do I start? This is I don't know. This is different because I don't know. It's just that I think it's just because of how I experienced this game. I mean, this is probably the fastest I've ever completed a FNAF game, except for Ruin. Ruin doesn't count because that's a DLC. This is a full-fledged game. And I just completed it under 2 days. Sure, Creekcraft beat under 4 hours, but he was live streaming, so it was easier for him. And he's just a good gamer. I mean, beating the game under 4 hours, that's crazy. But yeah. So let's start off with let's go for a full-on game summarization. I think that's how I usually do it best. Like, I'm gonna summarize the game and talk about the things that I like about it. So, alright, so we're gonna start off with the menu. I like the menu, okay? Sure, there's no cool theme to listen to in the menu, but I mean, to be fair, you don't always need that. Okay, you don't, I mean, I'm not sure why you would want to stay in the menu for a theme. I mean, I would, I personally understand, but I don't think that's what they would want you to do. They don't want you to just sit in a menu just to listen to a theme. They just want you to play the game. That's why there's no menu music. It's just obvious, which I think. Also, the fact that it's in a van, out of all things, and you just see like you barely see the outside. You know, it's unique. You know, it's cool, and the fact this is probably the first FNAF game to even include the outside. I mean, except for like Help Wanted or Help Wanted 2 and since we never been outside in a FNAF fan game or just a FNAF game. So it's nice, you know. It's very nice. I mean, we actually start off with the guy driving, which is very interesting. And we get introduced to two characters. Well, one's returning, another one's completely new. We have Dispatch, who's pretty much just a human. It's pretty much the you know, a more older, a more like 70s version of the hand unit. It's actually, I think it's a real person. Yeah, that's it. It's a real person this time. It's not like an AI or something. It's a real person. And you could tell because he sounds a bit different from hand unit, even though you can obviously tell it's hand unit. And then you have Arnold, who is pretty much probably the only protagonist I relate to the most. He's pretty much a guy who just feels like he is, I don't know, just has to do, I don't know how to describe him. He's pretty much a tired worker, which that's how I feel recently. Just felt that, even though, I don't know, I guess with how school draining out of me and me not knowing what I'm going to do, and YouTube, I guess. I mean, there wasn't supposed to be a video last weekend. But of course, Forsaken your update, and of course I had to make a video on that, you know? He's a guy who's tired, which I relate to a lot. So yeah, well, pretty much he just got done a 36-hour shift, which pretty much is literally something out of the Industrial Revolution right there. Like, that is just literally how the Industrial Revolution worked, pretty much. And Fast Entertainment is just a modern version of that, which is very sad. But of course, his shift is not done, and he has to go to a new place that's never been heard in Fazbear Life, which is Murray's Costume Matter, made by Edwin Murray, which you would all know from the books. I think we should sideline to tell you all about the things, and I probably should have forgot to say spoiler warning. I'm terrible at this. Yes, just spoilers for the game if you haven't played. You really should. It's a good game. It's a really good game. I'm not gonna make my ranking yet, but I'll always just say that it is a good game. So we'll start off with do you need to read the books? No. You absolutely do not need to read the books to understand the story. I will tell you that. The books are not canon. They're not. It's been finally confirmed. On this game, the books are not canon. They're not. They're just other universe examples. Tales from the Pizzaplex are universal examples of the modern FNAF. They're not one-to-one. Which, I'm very glad to hear because... I don't know, I just really did not want Under Construction to be canon. Which means Fazgoo is most likely not canon. Which means Fazbear Fights is not canon. That we're just gonna use them as examples for now on. Do not... Alright? That's how it's gonna work. But anyways, moving on for that, we should, get on to what Edwin Murray is here. He is a part of a family business that he has to own now that his dad has passed away. And, you know, that's pretty much how it is. You know, he works at a family business of Murray's Costume Matter. He meets a woman named Fiona. They have David and whatnot, and of course, as you know, that thing goes bad. But not in the way as the books. See, in the books, Fiona dies of during childbirth, but here she survives. Well, at least until a burning happened, which I'm pretty sure we all know what that burning is because it's been said in Help Wanted 2, Fall Fest. So yeah, I'll segue to another thing that I like about this game. It connects. Like, there are a lot of connections. The stuff, especially Help Wanted 2 and Ruin, which I really like because I liked Ruin-ish, but I really liked Help Wanted 2, and I'm glad this has a lot of Help Wanted 2 lore in it. But back to the gameplay. So we have this item called a data diver, whatever you call it. It's a data diver. And we pretty much use that to access the building. And while we're there, we get introduced to this cool show type thingy thing, and it's real cool. You know, you got so many new characters introduced. You got and old ones. So you got Mr. Helpful, Mrs. Helpful. They are pretty much the I don't know, ancestors of Tiny Little Helpy Boy. You also have all their pals, the bee, the elephant, the Monty. We got an old version of Monty. You can see an old version of Hippo, Mr. Hippo. You see a Octopus. Yep, a Octopus that exists. And once the show finally ends, it shuts down, and you have to go to a different area. And once that, you get introduced to the main lobby, which is, of course, an office. And throughout this game, you actually have to get upgrades. You see, your data diver has 6 permission thingies, and you only have 1 in the beginning of the game. And you have to collect 5 more of these throughout the whole game, pretty much. The first one is obviously in the security lobby, which is a diamond type thing. I don't know exactly what they are. And then, of course, he sends you, the dispatch sends you to get the others. And this is where we're introduced to the Mimic, because he is pretty much the main antagonist in the game, which is another pro, because I was worried that the Mimic wouldn't show up till the very end, but no, he is the main character of this game, and he pretty much is exactly how I wanted the Mimic to be. He's a guy who goes into costumes and just hunts you out throughout the whole game. And I mean by the whole game, I mean the whole game. You first see him as an elephant, as he tries to chase you down and such. And yeah, he's an elephant. And while and you have certain tools that you can use to hide from him, which is, yeah, pretty much most of the game is going to be about stealth, which, you know me, I'm not exactly the biggest fan of stealth, but you know, this one is more tolerable than most. I mean, it's definitely more tolerable than Security Breach, I must say. I mean, now I think we could segue into some of the pros I have with this game, like gameplay wise, because we would go with more story. Let's shift shape into gameplay. For example, the sprinting is finally permanent. Like, there is no more stamina, which I think is so much better, because honestly, the stamina thing I never liked, and it's just slows down the game a lot, my opinion, and makes the game harder than it should have. So I'm so glad they removed the sprint chain, because that would have been so annoying in chases. Because if you play Secure Breach and Ruin, chase scenes are just so much harder to do. But now here they aren't that bad, and that's another thing I love about this. There's chase scenes, and there's a lot compared to Puppy Playtime nowadays. Though to be fair, there weren't exactly that much chase scenes there either. So yeah. But I think that's why I kind of like this game more than the Puppy Playtime chapters. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're good, real good, but those are just chapters. They're not like full-fledged games or anything. If you think about it as like a whole game, then yeah, I think that's why I like Dark Revival as well that much. I mean, sure, their chapters are shorter than some of the Bendy chapters, but the Dark Revival just feels so connected and such. I don't know. I guess I could say if I want to compare this game, I don't really want to compare it that much to Puppy Playtime. I'll say it's like a mix of Dark Revival and Puppy Playtime. Chapter 3. Like, it's like a mix of both of them. You know? Like, you have the, exploration, story-like path of, Bendy, but you also have the, going back to the lobby like type feeling of of Puppy Playtime Chapter 3, because in Puppy Playtime Chapter 3 there is a full-on lobby, which is the center of play care, and you always end up going back to that area, no matter after each mission. And Secret Mimic is just that, but like so much longer. I mean, this game is like. It's like, I don't know how big, but it's definitely a lot bigger. I mean, Chapter 3 takes, like, without dying, like, if you're fast on, like, an hour or so. Yeah, an hour. Well, this would take, like, 4 hours if you're fast enough and you don't die. If you don't die, then it's probably, like, 8 hours, but... Well, I said if you do die, it's 8 hours, but if you don't, it'd probably be, like, 4 hours or something. Though, actually, it will probably take like 6 hours because of stealthing. So yeah, the stealthing, I think the problem with stealth is just how it slows the game a bit, because there can be moments where you can't just progress forward and you just have to take your time. I had that same problem with Into the Pit, but it's just something you have to deal with, and I'm gonna learn to deal with that for now on, because I think this will be like the standard FNAF gameplay from now on. I think, I don't know. FNAF 12 could be something completely different and we don't even know it. But yeah, back to the actual story. So we get to this new section. It was I don't know exactly what it is, but it pretty much leads to the demo area that the demo that Dawko and the others experience in PAX West. Where you see this fun little room with a jack-in-the-box. You open the thing with the crank. There's also cranks, but we barely use them. You pretty much just have to turn the thing. Actually, you know what? That will shift sort into another gameplay thing that I like about it. That makes it feel like a new era. It's how the controls work. Because you see, it's no longer just clicking this or clicking that. You actually have to use your mouse to like do certain things. You gotta use your mouse to rotate stuff, to open doors the way they're actually open in real life. It's like that. Like, you actually have to pull down a lever, It's more realistic. And that technically makes sense because this is a VR game. Or will be a VR game. It's both a flat mode and VR game, but you can obviously tell there are elements that are, like, were made for VR in this game, which are these controls. And I really like how, I don't know how much, more they're making us use the mouse controls. It's actually very unique, and it's even better when this game was made in Unreal Engine 5. I think this is the first FNAF game. No, that would be Help Wanted. No, that would be like Help Wanted 2. Yeah, I don't know about Secure, but I think that was still made in Unreal Engine 4, but I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, we opened the box, and that's Jackie, the character that was teased since August of 2024. Yep. I still remember seeing Jackie for the first time in the jungle. Yeah, for those who don't know, I watched the first teaser of Secret of the Mimic during the jungle on a trip. I know, that's crazy, but it was cool. I don't know, it was just cool seeing, I don't know, Jackie in a jungle. I don't know, it just felt cool. I don't know, maybe I'm going to Peru again later in July. I don't know, maybe some announcements will happen again where I'm in, I don't know, the mountains or something. I'm not entirely sure. But moving on, we go to this another office with a new mail person, Digityper, and as we use another type of puzzle where we have to, it's like a weird like engine thing. You just have to pull where you actually have to use your mouse to pull, which is very cool. And Jackie's there, and well he she, well actually it's she. It's a she, not a he. She splits herself in half in order to chase you, and it leads to a big chase where she gets distorted into a more possessed mimic-like form, and I think that's why, because I don't think the mimic's actually possessing it. Well, wait, no, I think he is. I don't think the mimic's actually inside the suit because, well, first of all, I don't think it can shrink that tiny inside just the first half. Oh, if it does, then I'm very shocked or impressed. But this you see Jackie distort into like an evil form, and she pretty much chases you in a probably playtime like chase, but it's more creepier and it's more mechanical because, well, first of all, it's not exactly a chase. I mean, she does chase you, but it's way different. It's not like she's always behind you. I mean, she sometimes cheats and just goes other ways. And one time, and there's a time where she's literally straight up on top of the ceiling and breaks down to come after you. And the chase isn't always about running. I mean, there's in the Jackie chase, there's this place where Jackie will slowly come towards you, and you're also slow as well, and you have to use your time to pull some levers while you're still progressing your way through. And the final section, you pretty much almost destroy Jackie, where you have to pull a door down her while you use the generator thing to get in the vents. And Jackie still follows you to the vents eventually, and you both fall down, and yeah, Jackie's gone. That's just gonna lead to probably a problem that I don't have, but I've seen other people have. Jackie's screen time. So yeah, Jackie kind of got the Pianosaurus / Vanny treatment, where she's heavily cast or marketed, but barely shows up. But honestly, it's not as bad as Vanny and Pianosaurus, because with Vanny, you just don't. There's just times where you won't see her. And plus, she was teased as the main villain. And with the Pianosaurus, though, however, Pianosaurus was only in one teaser, was in one shot of a trailer, and only had one scene. But Jackie, though, yes, she did have one scene, well, one area where she's in, but it's memorable. I think that's the difference, because Pianosaurus' scene was not memorable. It wasn't like a big chase or anything. You just see him and he dies. But Jackie, she doesn't just straight up die. She's teased, then she's a threat, then she chases after you, and then you stop her. Pretty much. And now it's just the introduction to the game, and the game continues from there. And I guess it's a segue to that you have this computer monitor that has a couple systems. Two of them are Moon.exe and Parachute.exe. I'll talk about both of them, but summarize, Moon.exe is a little mini game where you it's a little small story game where you just make choices about areas you want to go, and you get more areas once you get more collectibles. So yeah, there are collectibles, but they're very few compared to Security Breach. There's like only 25, and you collect them by these gifts, where once again, you can't just simply open them. You actually have to use your mouse to, like, I don't know, rotate the crank. And compared to actually Security Breach, where you just have to hold E. So yeah, I think that's why I like the game better. I mean, back then, all you had to use were the keyboards. But here, there's barely any use of the keyboards. I mean, jump isn't even an option anymore, which makes the the game, I don't know, more dangerous because you can't just jump over to another area. Also, we should talk about why I think this game is a mix of Dark Revival and Poppy Playtime. You see, Poppy Playtime was all about continuing forward, progressing forward, you know? That's what's literally all it was about, progressing forward. But Dark Revival, yeah, it had that, but because it was a full-fledged game, it had powers and abilities that you can use to go back to certain areas. Because once you have so many powers and abilities in Dark Revival, you can go back to certain areas and discover new secrets. That's what Secret of the Mimic pretty much has with this data diver. You can go back to certain areas and unlock new areas with the data diver once you unlock more tools. And I think the next one we get is the one with the cube. We get that because where we have to actually go back to the area where there was the show thing with Mr. Helpful and the others. You turn that thing back on, and you finally go to the showroom or something, like the showroom area, where once again the Mimic will be coming after you. So yeah, the Mimic's a threat and disguises as multiple animals. Let me try to remember them all. I know he's a bee. He's a dog named Sharpay. He's sometimes a hedgehog. He's mushroom. He's a mushroom sometimes. He's sometimes a broken mushroom. He's pretty much a mushroom with no shell at all. A bee with no shell at all. Well, shell as in no details, I meant to say. He says Orville. Yeah, Orville's in this game as a mascot. And he's someone else as well, but that's gonna be for later on. So we're barely in the surface. So in this lobby section, we have to get the elevator working, and to do that, we gotta, well, we have to listen. You have to actually use Mrs. Helpful. So yeah, Mr. Helpful and Mrs. Helpful are actually throughout the whole game, and you can use your data diver to listen to recordings of them. Well, different recordings of them, and it pretty much teaches you how to fix the elevator. So this is also to another gameplay mechanic that's only there twice, where you have to fix an elevator. Yeah, this happens twice, actually 3 times. But so first, to get to the elevator, you have to access a code. And Mrs. Helpful actually tells you the code. So then you have to go back, sneak through the Mimic, type this code, and get the this voice recorder thing. Yeah, there's recorders, audio logs that you can just get by pressing, which pretty much reveals lore about Edwin and his company. There's also like mail that you can collect throughout the game, which also reveals lore and such. I'm not gonna deal with the lore until like later on. I just want to focus on the main story. So we turn on this audio log, and it's Fiona teaches us how to pretty much fix the elevator, which is very simple actually. You pretty much have to listen to what she says throughout the game, and you'll pretty much be okay. But you do have to listen. You can't just rush through, or else you get insta-killed. And that happened to me a bit. Like, it did. But they're interesting, you know. Some involve like certain sequences and whatnot. They work the line winding thingy, and yeah. So we go to this new area, which is the big top lobby type area, where you go into 3 sections. You have the Jackie showroom, which we were already there, and we can actually go back. And this is where I mean about you can go back to old areas once you get new stuff, because here, if you discover the code for the Jackie's room, you can actually go back and collect new stuff there, which is very interesting. But the main part is the middle one, which is the big top showroom. And to get in, you have to talk to Mr. Helpful, and he'll tell you that you have to use another puzzle thing, which is pretty much a rotating one. This is, my least favorite, probably because of how it's hard to rotate some of the stuff. Plus, some of them are in a time limit, which is very annoying because you could be in the middle of solving a puzzle and it just auto interrupts. And this will get very annoying in one section that will come up very soon. And yeah, pretty much. And there's also a third area called the Sleepy Showtime, but we'll get to that later on. Right now, I want to focus on the middle. So we solve this code, we get a ticket, and a guy, this new animatronic, gives us a ticket. This is Big Top, which is pretty much a 1970s version of Music Man. So yeah, Music Man's back in his new form. Well, he's pretty much a maestro, swingmaster show type guy, and we're pretty much in this cool mini game section where we get to play pretty much games about shooting darts, lasers, and throwing balls at clown. It's pretty much the Fazer Blast from Help Wanted 2. Pretty much, like down to the pretty much accurate. For example, you got a game about shooting darts at enemies. You got a game where you have to throw balls, balls at clown teeth. It's really weird. And you have a space game where you shoot. Well, it's not actual lasers because, well, this is the 70s. Lasers don't exist. Well, laser-like things, well, they don't exist at all. But like, yeah, like lasers don't exist back then. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So like, we got an early version of Fazer Blast. So this is where I want to segue to the music as well. And then you can even tell which one's which from the music. For example, the space one has a very space Freddy in space type OST, which is very cool. I mean, I guess I'll segue to the music. The music here is very good. Like Jackie's chase theme is very good, along with the intro music theme and the Big Top's theme that was shown later on. But you pretty much have to get a prize during in a spin the wheel game, and right now you have one, but you have to get 3 more to guarantee to get the free prize. And that's what you do. But every time you beat one of these games, the whole place will just shut down, and Music Man or Big Top will be trying to pretty much kill you. Yeah, so you pretty much have to avoid his light, where you pretty much avoid him seeing you, because he'll circle around. He's pretty much stuck in this weird, like, turny thingy. He can't move yet. And right now he's in this, and you have to avoid him. Which is hard to do, because you can avoid him by hiding in lockers. I forgot to mention that you pretty much hide in lockers, and you have to use little rat toys to avoid the mimic, which I actually barely use at all, even though they probably would have been very helpful. But I've actually did see other people not use them, so I don't feel too bad. But anyways, there are these things, these little annoying things called mannequins, where they're actually very annoying. If you get too close to them, they will well alert the person, not just him, but the mimic. These mannequins do come back later on, and they are very annoying, very annoying. And yeah, pretty much it. There's also other ways to avoid the mimic. You can use, there's like these things that remind me of the Puppy Playtime cutouts. They just pretty much play music. That also lures the mimic. And there's also like some generate thing that also used, but that's later on. We should focus back on Big Top. Well, the mannequins are, each time you do this, are randomly placed. So yeah, this sequence happens 3 times, and the mannequins are randomly placed. Why? Because they want you to take the long way. You put it as a go back and do the connection rotating puzzle again. And that's just why I found it annoying, because sometimes I find the rotating to be missing certain pieces, and that just pretty much screws up the game. Because while there probably was a way to beat it, I personally never found the way to beat it without the missing things. So yeah, I died a lot here. But after that, you pretty much have 4 chances to spin the wheel, and once you actually get the thing, everything just shuts off for some reason, and you're able to go upstairs and win the free prize. And then you notice that Music Man's gone, or Big Top, which you probably know what's about to happen. But before that, we have to enter a code, and this code is very interesting because you actually have to use the mannequins, because each mannequin will have like a decoration on them and a number, and you see this thing that tells you what decorations it needs to be, and whatever and each decoration has a number. So you line them right, you get the code, which leads to another upgrade. It's like a weird cube type upgrade. I think it was like for arts or something. You get that, and then you go outside. Yes, that's right, outside. You get to go outside in this game. It's so beautiful. So beautiful. I mean, and it's snowing for some reason. I don't know. This was just probably my favorite part. One of my favorite parts of the game. Just the fact that we were outside on the rooftops. It was just a cool feeling. I hope we get more of this in future FNAF games. But anyways, as once we try to go back to the insides, the building, Big Top is released and is chasing after us. Yeah, he pretty much is set free and uses his weird arm thingies as now his legs. He had arms and now he's losing those legs, and it's pretty much an insane chase where everything is just getting destroyed and such. Destroyed and destruction everywhere, and you just have to run fast. This one chase is actually very hard because you could actually get very lost and die very quickly in this chase, especially the section where you're in these rooms and Big Top is destroying each of these rooms. You have to go to the path that it wants you to go, and this is hard because the path is actually randomized. Yeah, that's right. Big Top's chase isn't always the same. It's actually very randomized what area he'll destroy, which I think is very unique for a chase. But then it'll shift it to a easier chase where you're pretty much crouching while you're making your way and where you have to avoid whatever Big Top is destroying. Then you get to another section with mannequins, so pretty much just run fast because the mannequins will alert him. And then he'll just start smashing mannequins at you. And then it ends the chase where you're in the staircases and he's there about to kill you, but everything falls off, including him, and he's dead. Well, we thought he was dead. And he pretty much now looks like ruined music, DJ Music Man. Anyways, we return back to the thing, and this is where we see how toxic fast entertainment, because Arnold is suffering throughout this game. Like, you actually hear Arnold suffering, and he even asks for them for help, but all dispatch says is amazing. We'll look into it. And you probably notice how he sounds more AI here, more like normal hand units, but there's a reason why. It actually starts to happen after Jackie's chase, and you'll explain later on. But back to the back to the story thing. We would now have to go to the theater. Yeah, the theater for a next upgrade. Well, at least we thought it was the next upgrade, but yeah, we go to the theater and we have to go there by the workbench, which is a very cool area. We pretty much where all the cool stuff. This is where we get to something very, very interesting. So we pretty much have to build a suit. Yeah, pretty much. Of a character named Captain Springlock. Yeah, that's his name. Which is pretty much a lion captain thingy. I don't know. It looked like a lion to me. And you pretty much have to collect suit parts of them. And this is, of course, another stealth game. This is where how the stealth games are really used in a certain way, because this is another benefit I have from this game is the checkpoints. There's lots of them, and that makes it so beneficial. There's even checkpoints during chase scenes. Because while Ruin, was, good, there was just some moments in Ruin that just felt so brutal. Or actually, probably Playtime had very brutal checkpoints, if you remember. But here, Secret Mimic, it makes them fair. For example, after each mini game, it saves. In the Big Top section, it saves. It always saves. Here, after you collect one piece of the suit, it saves every time. Though this was still annoying because it's a very big section with the Mimic free roaming around, and there were just moments where I just couldn't. He just wouldn't leave, and it was hard to get out, especially with the head. The head was the hardest one because you have to lower some type of thingy thing in order to even grab the head. That was very hard, very, very hard. But once that, you actually go inside this Springlock suit. Now, you might be wondering, aren't Springlock suits dangerous? They are, but not these ones. See, Edwin Murray has his own style of Springlocks. If you look at some of the mail, you would see that Fiona and Edwin have their own type of Springlocks that are actually much safer than the ones William and Henry make. Which is actually very interesting. Very interesting because, well, first of all, it's just shocking that we actually have a version of Springlocks that are actually safe and manageable to use. Because we actually use this thing for a bit. We don't use it all the time, but it's pretty much like a new way of using Glamrock Freddy. You even can shoot the thing. You can use it. You can even shoot stuff, though it doesn't work with the Mimic. I mean, the Mimic is actually fooled by this thing, which is very shocking to me, at least, because if you read the books, you would know that when someone got to a mascot costume, the Mimic just straight up went inside with the person and just straight up obliterated their entire body by, like, I don't know how to describe it. I think it was like it's like if the mimic went inside the person. Like it was just, yeah, something like that. I don't know. It was very disturbing. But moving on from that, we pretty much go into this section where it's very creepy in my opinion. Where but see how Edwin Murray was making this type of like technology where you pretty much, it's pretty much what's happening currently in real life with the AI art and voice acting and such. You know, it's all that. It's all that, but in the 70s, which is actually very. This is one line that Edwin said that's very creepy, where he says, "Where's the talent? There is no talent." So it's pretty much just. It's pretty much just an example of like what's happening right now with all the AI art and artist type stuff that's been happening recently, which is very cool. Very not cool, but it's creepy. But you know, it's kind of nice to see that FNAF is, you know, showing people how, you know, how wrong this AI art voice thing is, and that's honestly why I like this new era of FNAF. It's like teaching people how wrong AI can be, and the Mimic's just a pure example of AI, you know, going wrong. Move on. We get to an actual. We actually get to be a part of an actual theater play. Well, artificial one. There's artificial audience, which are the mannequins, and puppets that move without needing any people actually playing them. It's actually creepy how this thing is able to play with no one being in here. Well, I say no one. If you haven't noticed, if you look at some of the mascot costumes, you would see dead bodies. Yeah. Dead bodies. So yeah, this game is a lot darker than some of the other games. But it does it much better than how do I say this? The Puppy Playtime Chapter 4. I mean, don't get me wrong. I was glad that the dead bodies in Puppy Playtime didn't have blood in them, but they just still felt very disturbing and didn't really felt like Puppy Playtime anymore. It's sad, but here if Secret Mate does it in a more subtle way that it doesn't feel creepy. For example, we don't see any heads. We just see arms, legs, and actually we do see a full dead body, but with the mask on. But you know, it's more subtle, and there's no blood, which makes it a lot better. Because honestly, I don't think I want to see blood in FNAF. Never. Like, there's, I don't know. Just seeing blood in FNAF just makes it feel weird, in my opinion. I mean, sure, FNAF 4 in still case it didn't in ways that didn't make it feel off, but it was still, I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of gore. But where we go? Oh yeah, we have this puppet show, which introduces a backstory for your favorite Foxy, the pirate fox. So yeah, Foxy, before being a captain, or if he ever became a captain, was a part of a crew. And his captain was Captain Springlock. He was pretty much his first mate. And you have the others. You know, you have Pitt. You have the chef Fenner. I forgot his name. I know Boshin. Yeah, he's the one. And Roxy. Yeah, Roxy used to be part of this crew. So yeah, Roxy and Monty have been here since the beginning. In fact, there's lots of evidence of them being here since the beginning. Just like Monty and Roxy, like merchandise. How Monty used to be in a jug band, and Monty actually used to be something way more ancient, which is I'm so excited to get into. But Roxy also used to be like some old ancient cowgirl or something. But yeah, just basically it's where they originated. And it's cool to see that well, Roxy and Monty aren't like new stuff. They're actually old stuff from Edwin's place, pretty much. And this pretty much confirms something that people were wondering for a while. Like, where did Foxy come from? Which I really love how this thing is pretty much tying up loose ends. Like, questions that probably a lot of people didn't ask. Like, I'm pretty sure there was barely anyone who asked where Foxy came from. I mean, I'm gonna say most people actually thought they were just an idea from Wheeling, but no. Foxy originated here, in this puppet show. And it's cool to see that we now have someone who created Foxy. And we actually figure out who creates Chica later on. But we'll get to that later. Right now, we're actually in an interactive puppet show, because during the plays, you actually have to shoot targets as Captain Springlock. And this, for some reason, is annoying. I don't know. I just found this very annoying. This was very hard to do for some reason. You pretty much have to shoot the targets fast. and you have to avoid certain obstacles. I'm pretty sure I heard certain like good guys, and that ends the puppets killing you. Yeah, puppets for some reason. The puppets can kill you for some reason. In fact, the puppets actually try to distract you. Pretty much. And my suggestion, ignore them. Like, don't try to hit them or anything. Just focus on the target, because every time I try to hit the puppets, it distracts me from getting the goal, because there is a goal. It's kind of like an early version of the Fazer Blast minigame from Hell 1 and 2. But, yeah. But what is happening, the whole place actually gets broken down and gets straight up destroyed, where we actually fell off. And we actually transitioned into a new area, which is the doll hospital. We get introduced to Nurse Dolly, a recycling animatronic. Yeah, that's right. In the FNAF universe, Edwin Murray invents recycling. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this. I don't know. This is interesting. And it's cool. I mean, it's cool, though very crazy. But moving on. Pretty much what happens that we end up, Nurse Dolly, I guess, finds us, and we actually got into a spring lock failure. Yeah, that's right. A spring lock failure happens. But as you notice, we're not dead. That just goes to show that we got we got saved. We got saved. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. We got saved. We got saved, right. Yeah, we got saved. I don't know why I'm slowly losing focus. I mean, how long is this review? I need to check. 40 minutes. This is just gonna be, this is gonna be even longer than my Hell 1 and 2 roleplay, which was like a whole hour. Okay, guys, buckle in. We have so much more to talk about. We're just entering like the second half of this game. Yeah, I know, crazy, but so yeah, Nurse Dolly's here, and we pretty much have to avoid her throughout this cool, very interesting section, I must say. The environment in here is very cool, but we pretty much have to hide from her now. Now with the lockers and the generator thingy, we always get to this one section where we have to put scrap into a garbage disposal thingy. It was all explained later. But Dolly is very aggressive and fast, like real fast. You gotta explain why she's very aggressive, and why she suddenly just wants to, you know, kill you. Because right now, in the beginning, she wants to try and treat the Captain Springlock. Actually, not Arnold. No, Arnold. He doesn't kill. He actually called us a foreign object and want to freaking burn us alive or something, melt us alive. It was creepy, stuffy. We was gonna avoid her some weird attraction she's on, where she's just scrolling around very quickly. Then she breaks free for that once we open a hatch to go to the main section where she tries to run after us and such. And then we get to the main part where we have the, you know, the thingy thing. And I want you to notice during this section we actually see there's a lot of lava stuff. Yeah, there's lava here. Why? I have no idea why there's lava here. I'm guessing we're like in some like underground section of the game. I mean, that's how I think it, because we do learn there are like basement floors or something. There's like 2 of them, and part of me thinks we're in one of those basement floors, because that would just explain why there's lava here. Though I don't think lava exists as that, I don't know, up close to the thing, unless the basements are like real down below, which I highly doubt that's the case. But right, we do get another upgrade here, which is some weird multiple cube thing. I don't know what they exactly are, but we get the upgrade in the middle of a weird storage. And this part was actually very cool, and actually not that difficult, because once again, each time you put in a recycle, it saves. You have to collect 6 of these. So this was creepy. There were like some creepy moments where I had to hide in the vents. And yeah, there are vents here. There's just this one nice quick time event before you get to the main part, where you have to use an audio and then hide from Dolly as she enters in and checks to see what the audio thing is. Why that you have to use the weird pulley gender thingy to move the weird knife thing, the windmill thing on the vents. You surprisingly don't get killed by it. You can't get pushed by it, and you just end up falling. So yeah, you don't get killed by the thing, surprisingly, which is very nice, I must say. Um. mm, mm, mm. Okay, moving on. Moving on. Then you're in this mini boss where Dolly slowly approaches towards you in a weird treadmill thing, and you have to use You have to use the uh the the you have to use the garbage person you collected to push her back into some weird lava grinder thing, and you close the door, and you think she's dead, but once you progress through, you go down a lift, and then you see her in a lava amalgamation form, and leads to another cool chase with another very epic chase. Another thing I like about the soundtrack is their names. I mean, some of these names are just crazy. Like, Dolly's chase theme is called, I think, hold on, I gotta search this up. I don't remember the names of, I don't remember exactly the names, but their titles are hilarious and epic. For example, Dolly's chase is called, hold on, I'll find it. It's called Back to the Iron Lung. That's just such a crazy name for an OST. The other ones, the one that plays during the Fazer Blast, the mini games, is called Artemis to the something. Artemis. It references Artemis for some reason. Yeah, Artemis to a collision course. Like, that's literally what its names. You got other ones like the cast of trophy behind door number 3 during the ball chase. Actually, back to the ball throwing minigame, there's like 3 of them. No, there's 2. But each of them actually lead to a secret passageway. If you like took out the teeth of 2 of the clowns and then you back out the minigame, you can actually sneak to a secret doorway in both of these that lead to items, which is actually insane. How we actually go to new sections just for an item. That happens a lot in this game, which is why I compare more to Dark Revival rather than Poppy Playtime. But anyways, we pretty much get this epic chase that during treadmill-like areas. We even see some areas that lead to lava, which is very crazy. Then we get to another small stealth sequence where we have to stealth through Molten Dolly into another section. And then we have to go to an elevator. The elevator then breaks, and you have to repair the elevator again. You actually have to repair it even another time during this, and that leads to another, which is actually way more complicated because well, there's a code sequence. I don't know. So part of it just, I don't know. I just died a few times. And then Dolly actually breaks into the elevator while it's going up, and then you have to actually repair it again so that you, I don't know, crush Dolly or something. But while Dolly is about to get crushed, you actually see that the Mimic's inside Dolly. Yeah, that's right. The Mimic was inside controlling Dolly, which is actually very creepy. Was the Mimic controlling Big Top? I think he was. Not sure where exactly he was inside the thing. I think Jackie was possessed, but the Music Man, he might have been inside it. I'm not entirely sure. But anyways, we get back to, we somehow end up in an area that leads back to the lobby. In fact, the Big Top area also led back to the lobby. And now we got the 5th upgrade. Now we need to get the other one, which is, I think, the admin upgrade, because it represents a bow tie thingy. Another pro I think I like is the theme and how it's all orange and stuff, because if you watch Loki, you would know that thing has a very 70s themed, like, I don't know, area. And Secret Mimic was also able to replicate that, because this took place in, like, 1979. And I kind of like how they were able to get things very accurate to the time period. We now go to the warehouse that will lead to, like, the final area. And we get a very big surprise, because the Mimic is actually back now, chasing you properly throughout all this. It's not someone new, it's literally the Mimic now. And the person who he disguised that is Chica, an old mascot version of Chica, with a very, very nice theme. In fact, this is probably my favorite OST from this. It's called, let me, Stardust, Dreamland Stardust. And it has that 80s type music thing. I don't know. This was just a very beautiful OST. It is kind of a fun section where you have to pick some of those rotating thingies throughout the whole thing, and you just see cool section. There was one interesting section about, what was not one thing interesting about it? I don't remember. Well, alright, there was this area where you could go up a weird bus type thing. You could go up and down, and it leads to a secret area where you have to do another carnival mini game and you get another secret. This one's actually, I think it was David's ball. For those who know, but I will not explain it here right now. But oh cool, Darko just released another secret mimic theory video. I'll have to watch that soon, very soon, right after this video, because ooh, it's about this guy. Oh, it's about the moon thing. Yeah, if you don't know, I didn't show it in my playthrough because I want that playthrough to be about the main story, not the secret stuff. But yeah, I'll get to that later after this section. But yeah, we pretty much self through this cool warehouse area with Chica, where she actually has, like I said, the music playing. She side doesn't have play in another section she's in, which is more annoying. But yeah, this was pretty fun seeing her skate around throughout the place. But we get to this other area where you have to solve a puzzle. This is another type of puzzle I forgot to mention back then, where you have to use a crane to set yourself the area. I guess I didn't mention because that one wasn't that interesting. But this one's actually way more interesting because you actually have to use actual attraction like things, like hammer thingy things that crush you. You have a multi thing that can shoot you up. You have the spinning thing. You have to crouch or else you get electrified. It's way more cooler and interesting. And such thingies. And then you get section to the admin area, where I guess where you get the final upgrade here. But here you get to self do a certain thing. I'm running out of breath. I'm so sorry. But I found this part really annoying because, well, you get these little cupcake things that, like, the man gets alert the mimic, which makes sense because he's right now Chica. So like these guys are your enemy. And this is actually very shocking. I don't think I had this while I was playing, but those cupcakes can actually kill you. So don't go near them. They can actually legit kill you, which is very shocking. So yeah, we have this admin section, which is way much harder because well, there's no items to collect, like the other stealth ones. So there's no checkpoints. You have to get through the whole thing. And don't use the lockers. I try using them because here's the thing: the mimic can actually kill you in the lockers if you're too late. Because while the mimic's chasing you, if you're behind the locker, I think he can see you. I'm hoping in an update they make an animation where he just opens the locker so that you know you're pretty much dead. Well, first of all, that'd be terrifying. And second of all, it would just let the player know that you're too late and he saw you go in the locker. I don't know, I just think that'd be interesting to include in. But anyways, once you get through it, you get to go to this final section where it's an interesting audio log here where you pretty much see Edwin beating up the mimic. Those who read the book won't understand that. Then you go to the area, you get the mimic's plan. That's pretty much what we've been chasing after. We've been chasing after the plans, the blueprints of the mimic. There is something there actually changes you. You have to close the door and you have to go to another way. I couldn't tell what it was. I think it was a mascot, but this is where we transition to the basement and we get to one of the scariest sections of the game. And I need to decide when to. You probably noticed this weird tiger thing when respawning in throughout the gameplay. That, my friend, is no other than Tiger Rock, you know, from the story. Because if you don't know, David actually has a little Tiger Rock plushie with him. But if you saw throughout the game, you see this thing in a much bigger form. In fact, you might have seen the Tiger Rock plushie in Hub 1 and 2 in the recent update. But this plushie has its own section. You go into this very dark area, you see the thing move lit up, and you're in this weird, like, creepy, very creepy section. I'm not sure what it reminds me of. It reminds me of something. What was that one section that... I don't know what it reminds me of. It reminds me of Jollibees, actually, a bit. I think there was this one section that... No. It reminds me of the Fontaine Foxy section from Sis Location. Yeah, that's what it reminds me of. You know where you only have is a flash beacon? And it's so terrifying because you don't know where Fontaine Foxy's gonna be, or if she already found you and you're already dead. That's what it reminded me of. Where you pretty much have to stay in the light. Because the Tiger Rock will be somewhat following you. He can't exactly follow you, but he'll pretty much just stand there menacingly. And if you're in the darkness for too long, he'll pretty much just slowly approach and kill you. It's very terrifying. Well, you have to find these little star toy things, which you can actually get a sneak preview of if you went to the Sleepy Moon section back in the Big Top showroom area. And you pretty much have to put in these things to light up the place. You also have to use it to light up certain areas you have to go to, but then you put the other areas. It's a very, very creepy, very creepy section. Very creepy, I must say. And I lost track. Oh no, I'm losing track. Wait, I'll get back. Let's actually talk about Tiger Rock, actually. Tiger Rock, he's interesting and very creepy. This really brought back horror in FNAF, and people said horror doesn't exist. This is horror in FNAF. We should definitely have more sections like this, but make them easier. Ish? I don't know. Actually, no, this ain't that bad. It is bad at first, but okay, let me explain how you have to deal with it. You pretty much have to go to the direction the light tells you to go to. Pretty much, if you scorner off, then you're pretty much dead. You actually there is a strict path you have to go to in this, and if you go to it, you pretty much will be able to press through it, because I'm pretty sure if you diverge off the path, you're pretty much dead. When you go to the path needed, you'll get to the area. That's probably what makes it a bit hard, because the path you need to go, it can be a bit unclear, but if you pretty much got that out of the way, you're pretty much good to go. This section's not that bad. Once you exit to it, you're actually able to go back to the very beginning, and you have all the upgrades, you have the blueprints needed, and you can go back, but this is where you don't actually have to go back, because this will actually lead, if you do what the hand unit dispatch says and give them the blueprints, the data diver, you actually get to a bad ending where you learn that dispatch wasn't with you the whole time. It was the mimic manipulating you, and you pretty much get fired. The mimic suddenly followed you to the truck and you die. But this leads to a very important thing, because the credits here are unbelievable. Why? Because it's pretty much Help Wanted 1's credits. But in the 70s, the mimic stuffs you in a Freddy Fazbear Stooge and you're a performance from him. As you see prototype versions of Chica, Bonnie, and Foxy in a prototype FNAF 1 area. I'm not even joking, this is in the game. How do you get in the game? That'll lead to the final section of this video. But first, I want to go to how, what you could do. Because this is now kind of like that part in Benny the Dog Provider where you can pretty much go back before you enter the ending. And you can pretty much go to the whole place and see what you missed. One of these sections you missed is actually a secret area in the first basement where you pretty much, it's another like section where you have to use the starlight thingies. And you encounter this creepy moon, like, it's like a more scary version of the moon animatronic from Security Breach. In fact, this moon guy is actually the enemy that scares you in the moon.exe little minigame. And, oh, it's terrifying. It's real terrifying. Pretty much sings a creepy lullaby. And this is unrelated, but I saw this funny TikTok where the moon, the guy said he drops a mouse on the floor, and when the moon was rocking towards, when the moon touches the mouse, he just flies off the map. It's so hilarious. But moving on, what is this thing? I don't know. We should actually go back to what Tiger is. No, we'll do the theorizing later. But yeah, it's a creepy moon thing. It's not the mimic. I'll just say it's not the mimic. I guess we could scare away to what I think Tiger Rock and this moon thing is. I think he's called Sleepy Moon, because I personally think a lot of people agree that Tiger Rock is David's soul, because David is dead, and I think it possessed this weird, or like, I don't think it's actually David. I think it's the agony of David manifested into this tiger thingy thing. And Moon, well, if you looked at one of the logs, you hear messages about a man who was left here to rot and starve, and people think he's inside this moon thing. So that's probably the darkest thing FNAF has done. And like in this whole thing, like, that's just real dark and very creepy. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's just segue into pretty much the end part, the real end part. So you can actually, once you're in the section where he tells you to deliver the blueprint, you can actually disobey and try to leave, but he'll question what you're doing and he'll keep the door locked. But if you remember what it said about the parachute.exe thing, you couldn't access that without the admin permissions, which you now have. Now with those permissions, you can now enter a secret hatch underneath the security lobby. And this is where the dispatch, or as we now know as the Mimic, sounds very aggressive. He just I don't know. There's something about this section where the Mimic just pretty much tells you about how you're not gonna make it as alive, and how you know, or how we could have worked together. It was very creepy. Especially when he just talks about how who should we be disguised as. Like, that's very terrifying. But this pretty much leads to back to the show area where we got that intro song thing. We pretty much now have to switch it to a goodbye song, which leads to a... We pretty much go underground. I think more underground than ever, which leads to a small little section where Music Man is back, or Big Top's back, in his shattered, busted form. I think he's called Busted Big Top. I don't know. We have to pull certain levers down so that he doesn't come after us. And then we enter that section that was teasing the bad ending. The FNAF 1 map, where we learned throughout audio logs and tapes in that section that Edward Murray was the original designer of the FNAF 1 animatronics. Well, I get him and Fiona. That's right. And I think I also forgot to mention this. The reason why Chica's there, because Fiona was the one who created Chica in Chica's Party World as a whole thing. So we actually learned what Chica's Party World is, which is a establishment all about Chica. And yeah, just Chica and her little food care. So yeah, it's not like where this isn't where Lolbit and JJ come from type thing. Because I remember watching a theory video that involved Chica's Party World involving Lolbit and JJ in it, I think. But no, they're not involved. It's other characters' food. I think there's like a milkshake character. There was a pancake character or something. And of course, you have Mr. Cookie. That's what that is. But they also made the original designs, because you actually see prototype versions of all the main characters and some new ones as well. But I'll get to them later. So, well, here's the thing. The area is not a remake. It's not like a old prototype version of FNAF 1. It's actually more of Help Wanted 1. Help Wanted. You know, the lobby of Help Wanted. It's more like that, because you actually see an area that looks like the prize counter. But you never know. There probably was a prize counter in the original FNAF 1. But we don't know that yet. We also have the area that would basically be the main section of the Help Wanted 1 area, along with Showtime. But there's one thing where we turn on that pretty much unleashes the Mimic. But he's in this weird amalgamation FNAF 1 type thing chasing throughout you. What exactly it is? Let me describe it. It has, I think, a part of Freddy's face or head with bunny ears. Has a prototype bib sign. Has more FNAF parts. And interesting enough, he has a hook, but instead of it being a part of him, he actually carries some type of hook piece type thing, like something that looks like a hook, which is actually very cool. But this is the thing that chases us throughout this final section. It's a thing that's pretty much what people actually wanted from FNAF 3, which is like an amalgamation of all the FNAF 1 FNAF characters. I think what the name was Salvage. So yeah, I'm gonna call this thing Salvage for now on, because I think that's a cool reference or something. But back to the and he's pretty much chasing us down throughout the whole FNAF 1 section. And we get this really cool section where our main goal is to get to the office, but dispatch is not letting you in the office thing while the Mimic chases you. He's not letting you in, pretty much. And the only way to do that is he pretty much is running low on power in this, and you have to... Well, if you look at... You see two other coves. There's actually one... If you go into Foxy's Cove and another one that's secretly in the area where I wish that would be an exit, you actually see that there are two other Springlock suits you can use. And these are Monty. Yeah, we got a Springlock Monty suit. A classic FNAF 1 style Monty, which means Monty was supposed to be a part of this FNAF 1 gang, if that is true, which is actually crazy. And you get a new character named Bub. Bub the dog. Yeah, not Sparky. Bub. And you have to actually use them. You have to go to them because pretty much there's a hallway. You want to go in, but he closes. But you have to put the mascots in the thing, because here's the thing. While the Mimic doesn't see you inside him. Dispatch can see it, so he closes the door when the mascot approaches it. You can actually leave the mascot out of the thing and progress to new areas, because if you put each of them in their section, it actually opens up the parts and service and the restroom, where you can go to secret sections there and unlock new mascots. I think the parts and service leads to a vent that goes to the supply closet, I think, and the restroom one leads to the kitchen. We actually get to see the kitchen for the first time. Well, what the kitchen could possibly look like, that is. These actually lead to 2 other Springlock suits. One of them being Spring Bonnie and the other being Fredbear. Yes, we get to see prototype versions of Fredbear and Spring Bonnie, which I think is so cool. Because it's all mechanic is cool. It's pretty much, we're now the animatronics trying to get to the office type thing, which I think is very, very cool. But once we pretty much destroy its power, Dispatch pretty much comes clean and lets us inside, and we get this plot twist where there's 2 mimics. Yeah, if you look at the audio logs and all the stuff, you pretty much already figured this out. But here you pretty much figure out the mimic secret, that there's 2 of them. There's Mimic 1 and Mimic 2, and you learn that they're supposed to represent Edwin's family. So remember how I said that Fiona dies in the fire? Well, because he couldn't take care of his son, David, because he would be too busy running the business, he makes a program called M1, which pretty much is supposed to replicate Fiona and be a mother. And this thing pretty much takes care of David throughout the whole thing. In fact, you actually get a creepy film wheel later on. Yeah, there's also film wheels where you get to watch certain stuff. There's this one where it's for one of David's... Actually, you know what? We're going to explain that later. Let's just say that the Mimic 1 is right now inside the endoskeleton, but then David dies, and Fiona tells him to make another one. But apparently it couldn't work. He couldn't figure out a way to work. So instead, she decides to transfer her conscience to this box thing you see in the office, which is actually mixes. Yes, Fiona is confirmed to be mixes. We actually get the real pronunciation what mix is for. It's not what I said. Which I said was mixed. I think what I said was mixed X-ray external system. But the weird pronunciation for mixes is actually, where does it say? It's called the mechanical X-form experimental storage. So yeah, I was close, but not close, not good enough for the actual name. But hey, at least we got a pronunciation for that. But now we learned the mimics now an anachronism. Now we gotta figure that out, along with what Vanny means. I think we already know what Vanny means, but yeah, we gotta figure those things out as well. But moving on, the M1 or the F10 and 4, I'll just say M1. She pretty much asks you to try to find Edwin, because she thinks he's still in the mansion. Because if you don't know, if you look at the beginning of the game, you see a mansion teased all the way far away from the manor. So she pretty much takes us to a secret underground roller coaster area, and this place shocked me because you see there's like these weird like engine like things that are like from Star Wars, which is so crazy how this is all underneath here in the 70s. Another thing I like this game because it shows that beyond like technological things existed in the FNAF lore in 70s, which pretty much makes it the cis location characters not so crazy to be in the 80s now. Yeah, so that pretty much just helped that out in that way. But we're going to take it to the secret roller coaster area that takes us to the mansion. And we're in this final stealth area where we're in Edwin's mansion, and we of course have to dodge through the mimic. But while here, we have to collect film logs, and each of them are for David's birthday. And the reason why we have to collect them because they all lead to a code where we get to Edwin's like office thing. So I think let me see the order they were. I think the first one was the green, then the gray, then the blue, then the red, then the purple. And I guess I'll talk about what each of them are. The first one is about David's first party where Edwin and Fiona are both there, and he uses a Roxy power pit to accidentally scare him. Then the second birthday, Edwin's too busy to be in the party, pretty much. And the third one is when Fiona is dead, pretty much. That's what that one shows. Then the fourth one, you see David getting his playground that you see in the beginning of the game for the first time, and you actually first hear the Mimic 1 or the Fiona, talking, and then you get this one where it seems normal. It's for David's 5th birthday party, pretty much, and then you see in Edward's surprised about someone baking a cake, and you first think it's Fiona or it. Then you see it's a full-on endoskeleton making a cake for David. This was just creepy. This was, I don't know. This was just crazy. I don't know. I just probably blew so many minds, even though we already know it was coming. It was just so crazy. I think this way is shocking because we already knew that the Mimic would be there helping Edwin take care of the son, but the fact that it first imitated Fiona in the first place probably just made it more crazy. And that was the last one before we get the code. Once we get in, we actually get this utter creepy audio log where it's pretty much the M2 now replicating Edwin, because as I told you before, he gets mad at him replicating David, so he smushes the original Mimic to pieces, and then something bad happened. I think there was like explosion. And then you have the M2 mimicking Edwin. He even mimics Edwin to the core where when Edwin is like, you hear him like struggling, like he got crushed in the rubble, he asks for help. And then the M12 straight up says, "I'm busy right now. I'll go play with play somewhere outside or something." It was crazy. So I think this means Edwin is dead or something. I'm not entirely sure. But in here, we actually get the plans for Mixes, which is actually the cradle in the data diver, which pretty much leads to where Mixes comes from, I guess. Or at least this is where Mixes will originate. After the Mimic chases you in this full-on epic chase where we're just roaming around throughout the whole place and running away from the Mimic as we pull levers and stuff with this epic music called, what was it called again? Shipsaver's Wrath or something. It was so, it was epic. Very, very, very epic. And the Mimic here is actually no longer using the suit. He's actually now using his original form. We actually see the Mimic outside of the suit. And I must say, I like his design. He's actually kind of how I thought the Mimic looked like in the first place. I mean, yeah, honestly, yeah, this is how I originally kind of saw him as. I think that's how we most of us saw him as. So, yeah, it's cool to see the old version of the Mimic before he shapes it into his new form in Ruin, pretty much. Another thing that's cool about that Mimic is that you can actually, it's his speaking line, because he actually later on he doesn't talk before, but in the final section he does. It's actually very cool. He pretty much mimics everyone we've already heard throughout the whole game. You hear lines from Jackie, Big Top, Dolly, even Mr. Helpful and Dispatch. In weird, gargly-like, distorted-like voices. It was very terrifying. But here's a funny other thing that happens in this chase scene. Because, well, the creepy thing was, well, the place was only getting burned down. And so you got to see it get destroyed. But we actually see these little toys that Edwin made that are just running around chasing after you. We even see them outside trying to escape the whole building. It was actually very funny. But let's talk about something that happens. Well, as you finally get back up to the surface, or get back to the, costume man, you see it all burns to the ground. Yeah, it just burns to the ground, which slightly destroys the streak. Because if you don't know, I've noticed that every multiple of 3 of the installments, the place gets burned down. FNAF 3, FNAF 6, and FNAF 9 being security breach. They all had buildings burning down, but this kind of broke the streak a bit. But which is fine, though I kind of wish they waited until FNAF 12 for a place to burn down. But yeah, this place gets burned down. We run away. All the little mini bots are... we get back to the van. As we slowly try to get out of there, there's actually mini bots actually still in the freaking window we see as they get blown away. But then the Mimic somehow follows us, crashes the whole van, and as we think he was gonna rip his arm off, I legit thought he was gonna rip his arm off. He instead just wanted the data diver, and he just walks away. Doesn't even try to kill him. Why? I don't know. But yeah. It's actually also, though, that is not it of the game. There's still like one more ending. But that's like the true ending. right there. At least I think it is. There is one more ending that you could get, but you actually have to get it from New Game Plus. You can't get it before because once you enter the game, enter the lobby, there's a secret gift, which is the Tiger plushie, and you have to use that to go back to the manor, and then, well, actually before that, you have to beat Moon.exe. I won't go into details of that, but if you beat that, you actually unlock a secret 7th like thing that allows you to secret rooms that you couldn't access before in the manor, and you pretty much lead to like 6 audio videotapes for a secret section. Let's go to pretty much David's room. That looks an awful lot familiar to FNAF 4. But you pretty much see the Mimic again, and he's in this cute little baby form that looks so adorable. But sadly, the evil version is being awakened. In order to calm him back down, you have to read him bedtime stories that actually involve Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, Monty, and Bub, all having a story about how they all form and stuff. So yeah, it's kind of crazy how these guys are pretty much based off a story. I don't know. It's kind of crazy. It's pretty much a bedtime story to calm him down, and then you give him a little tiger plushie, and then he settles down. You pretty much hack him, so he's pretty much fixed him or something with the data diver, and he's back to normal. And he's just so adorable. That's it. Oh god, my voice hurts. Yeah, that's the secret ending, but that sadly doesn't happen. But I think I talked enough. I guess actually no, we still haven't said how I like this game. Well, I already said that I liked it, but let me just go into depth why I liked it. It's because of this ending. Well, the main ending. The fact that it takes us back to FNAF 1 and shows where FNAF, because FNAF 1, in my opinion, was the most mysterious one of them all, because it's just randomly in 1993. Because for no reason, and there was like barely any background to it. I mean, FNAF 2, you know everything about a lot about FNAF 2, where it comes from, why it exists. You know, because 1985 was where the Withered guys come from, and where the suits are stuffed into. At least we just assume, and then you know, they got older, the band and stuff. But then you got FNAF 1 out of nowhere, and it's just crazy. We now know where it comes from. It eventually comes from here. Sure, Edwin wasn't the one who made the pizzeria, but he was the one who made the original designs of these characters before Bad Entertainment pretty much says nope. Because if you see the messages, you would see that William Afton was actually manipulating these workers to pretty much secretly, pretty much Henry and William were pretty much doing this devious plan to where they say that Edwin will, pretty much make. Because I think there was a time that Edwin's company was struggling, and William and Henry came in and asked him to make things for Fazbear Tape. They probably always have, but this is probably where they pretty much extends that. But till the very end, where for some reason they tried to bail on him way later, that pretty much destroyed Edwin's whole career and whatnot. It pretty much just ruins him to the core. So yeah, that kind of just shows that William and Henry aren't exactly the best, exactly good people. I mean, we only know William was bad, but never this bad, which is actually pretty crazy. Learning this, so yeah, and that's what I really liked about it. That's why I think it's a new era FNAF, because we're learning new stuff from this thing, like new origins. We learned so many new stuff. We learned where animatronics came from. That's why I think it's a new era. We look at a secret area of FNAF from the past that pretty much explains lots of stuff for the future, and I'm so glad it did. And yeah, now let's see, how much do I like this game? I like this game a lot. I think it's my second favorite FNAF game. Yes, I know that seems crazy, but this game is cool and all, but I still love Help 1 and 2, but how it's the conclusion to everything we've seen before. While Secret Mimic takes all the old stuff, well, has lots of, it just is a new concept, new stuff for FNAF that ties into all the old, that pretty much explains old stuff from the past, I mean, now we pretty much got the origins of where the Mimic comes from, and how a way we could possibly stop him in the, I don't know, possible end game of Secret of the Mimic, end game of this new era of FNAF or something. But yeah, that's it. I'm out of breath. This took a lot out of me. I feel so tired. But yeah, this is my second. This is like a 9.5 out of 10. That's how I rank it. That's how I rank it. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go. I'm so tired. I feel so exhausted. I said so much stuff. I hope you enjoyed. Like, enjoy this stuff. I'm not gonna predict what FNAF 12 can be. I mean, I want it to be Fall Fest. Yeah, I want Fall Fest to be a full game and not DLC because, I don't know, we already have a big DLC. Make Fall Fest its own thing. If it's a full-on game of its own, that would be just so cool. But yeah, hope you enjoyed. Like, give it a like, subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you all next time. Bye, everybody.